Hey guys, I hope you like starting your art project on your hand, doing plot and setting yesterday. Today we're going to talk about character traits. You have to remember that characters start one way at the beginning of the story, and at the end of the story they sometimes turn out a different way, and it's because of what happens in the middle. They change because of something can happen in the middle. Either the relationships they have with other people or some event happens to them, but usually they change. And so I thought we'd talk about Say, since that's the easiest one. Like if I was at school with you, I might talk about Momo Bay because she's so awesome. But we'll talk about Say because he is too. Okay, so at the beginning of this story, he is very naive. Naive means innocent. You don't really know about the realities that are going on in the world around you. Kind of naive, but very scared. Very scared to be where he is. But I guess he really didn't have an option. He had to go. He's a young boy. Starts out very young. In the middle of the story, he's still scared. But this time he's hurt. You know, it begins with him being hurt. But now he's in Momo Bay's house. He's homesick. He wants to be at home. He wants to be with his family. He's a young boy. So he's still scared, but now at homesick on top of that. He's not naive anymore. He knows what war is about. He has seen it firsthand. He's lived it. He's been hurt. But also now he's developing his character trait of loyalty. He feels very loyal now to Momo Bay and to Pink because they've saved him and they've helped him. So his character's changing some from being naive. He's not quite so naive and so young at heart anymore. He's been through some things and it's changed him and it's made him scared and now a little more protective of himself. He doesn't want to go back. He doesn't want to do this because he knows what can happen. But he feels loyal to Momo Bay and to Pink. At the end of the story, his character has changed. We see that now he's determined. He wants to go back. Not wants is a bad word. He feels he must go back because of what they did to Momo Bay and because now he sees how they have treated slaves because of Pink, how he's been treated. So he's determined. He wants to go back. Thing is, he's still scared. So that character tried to stay with him. Is that okay? Yeah. Does he have a reason to be scared? Yes, he does. So he goes back, and that's okay. You can still be not naive anymore and know the truth about things and still be scared. So he's scared. He's determined. He wants to go back and try to make a difference because he sees this now as his fight. He understands that. At the very, very end of the book, he's sad because he lost Pink, which in a horrible, terrible way. So his traits have changed and he's changed. He's gone from being a naive, young, scared boy to now he is educated some. He is determined. He's mentally stronger. He has more loyalties and he's willing to risk things and put himself on the line to fight for what he believes in. So his character has grown. It has changed. And he's also determined to make sure that this story gets told and that it goes on. So he told his children, who told their children, who told their children, because he didn't want the fight to end when the fight ended, when the war ended. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the beginning and the middle, the end of Say. If we do our little fast thing like we always do on our characters, it's the same way. Fast. F is for feelings. His feelings, he was scared, lonely, homesick, grateful for the people that helped him, and he developed a loyalty to them. Those are feelings he felt on the inside. Actions, things he did. He ran away. He deserted his unit. He left. That's how he got hot. That's how he got hurt, was running away and leaving. And that left him with a tremendous amount of shame. He felt horrible that he did that he left, because others could be hurt. But then he became friends with Momo Bay and with Pink. And his actions, he became friends with them. He helped them. He learned about where they lived. He learned about their master. And he formed a loyalty to them. And he did admit to them that he ran away. He admitted it to Momo Bay that he ran away, that he deserted. So those are some actions that he took. And then he cared about Pink. When Pink got sick, he said, Pink, you have a fever. You feel as bad as I do. He took care of him. And his actions, he went back to war. That shows how strong he became, because he knew how terrible it was, but he went back. So that shows his loyalty to the fight against this injustice, and to Pink and to Momo Bay, to kind of avenge Momo Bay's death in his own way. So those are some actions he did. Some things he says Pink's house was a lot like mine. It smelled the same. So he's kind of seeing comparisons in the two of them. He said, I'm scared to death. I'm scared to go back. He talked about touching Abe Lincoln's hands. He said, I touched the hand of Abe Lincoln. And then he tells Mama Bay, I'm a coward. And she says, no, you're not. And he tells him at the very end, whenever they're at Andersonville concentration, or the prison camp, he tells them, no, 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 don't take Pink away. Whenever they're reaching out to touch each other's hands, he screams, no, no, no. So those are some things he says. And then thoughts. The first thought he had that it tells us, where am I? I must be in heaven, when he feels Mama Bay touching his head whenever he's at their house when Pink is coming back. He said he didn't understand why slaves didn't get to read, and he didn't understand why slaves didn't have their own last name. He asked Pink about that. They had a conversation about that. He sat in Mama Bay's lap and told her he was a coward and he had deserted his people. He said those things. He said, I don't understand, Pink, why you want to go back. I don't get it. And Pink is like, it's my fight, isn't it yours? And he tried to explain it to him, and they had a conversation about that, and he did understand it. He did tell him that he was proud of touching Abraham Lincoln's hand, because Abraham Lincoln, he knew, was trying to free the slaves and keep the country united, and he was a man of honor in his eyes. So he was proud of it, and he told him that because he felt, whenever Pink started reading, he felt terrible, because here he was, a white kid who was allowed to learn to read and didn't know how to read. And here this was Pink, a black child that wasn't allowed to read, a slave, but he had learned how. So he felt embarrassed, so he said, well, I touched Abraham Lincoln's hand. So they thought he was scared to go back to war, but he did it because he wanted to help avenge all the wrong that had been done, and it was his fight. He also knew better than to talk to the marauder or to the Confederate soldier, because he said his accent would give him away of who he was. So going through and talking about how Say changed from the beginning to the end, and what changed it was what he went through being injured, seeing Mama Bay killed and given her life for him, seeing Pink killed and his life taken from him by such injustice, that changed him. It made him decide that even though he was a kid, he was going to do something about it. Well, that in the end, he lived and he did do something about it. He's carried this story on. Here we are talking about it now, so it'll never happen again. So we could say that he was a success, and that the way he changed was good. And we could say we're doing this for Mama Bay and for Pink. And then when we talked about his feelings, his actions, the things he said and the things he thinks, it helps us understand him, where he was, what was going on in his mind and in his heart. It helps us understand the character that he became. So there's your character lesson. I hope you watch the vocabulary video first, and then next video is going to be me showing you how to add the character traits to your hand project. Okay, love you guys. Bye.